Hello again. Today's review is of the movie of Shakespeare's Henry V. Now, this concerns the Battle of Agincourt. So, firstly, I'll just talk a little bit about that. Without going into the political reasons for the battle and the war, the English had crossed the Channel and had marched from the Channel coast at Harfleur and were advancing on the French. The English army was roughly 9,000. They would be opposed by a French army of at least 15,000, and some accounts say there was several thousand more. It was a long march. It was in winter. It was October, and the soldiers were starving, and they had resorted to eating shellfish, which was contaminated by sewage, and many of them were suffering from dysentery. So they were cold, wet, tired and hungry. And the battle happened at a place called Agincourt, and it was a resounding victory for the English, which has gone down in history. And the main reason for the victory was the archers, the English bowmen. They were required to train from their early boyhood with the weapon, and they could achieve accuracy by hitting a 4x2 wooden stave at 100 paces reliably. So they were really accurate. And they used to carry a couple of additional bits of kit, a maul and a dagger. And a maul was a kind of mallet. And what they would do, they would hack a wooden pole, a very long wooden pole, and sharpen one end, and with the maul hammer the sharpened end into the ground, slant the pole towards the enemy, and then sharpen the other end, and altogether they would form a barricade, and they'd stand behind the barricade with their bows. Now, Colonel Cooper called the English longbow the perfect weapon, because it was a weapon that the enemy couldn't pick up and use, because it took a lot of skill and it took training from boyhood. And they know from bow staves that were recovered from the Mary Rose, for example, that bows, the English longbow, had almost incredible draw weight. Some of them went up to 180 pounds. So even if you take almost half that, 100 pounds, to pull a bowstring weighing 100-pound pressure on the fingers of your hand is incredible. And skeletons of longbowmen demonstrated a very unnatural type of physical development. They were barrel-chested. It was asymmetrical because one arm was pushing, the other was pulling, and they were deformed in order to fire this weapon. So the French cavalry charged into what was called an arrow storm. The archers had a tremendous rate of fire and tremendous accuracy, and it was slaughter. And it was followed up on foot by the archers dispatching the downed knights using the maul and the dagger. Now, there's a myth that an armoured knight can't get up when he's on his back. This is false. At the Royal Armouries, they demonstrate how nimble they are, and they spring to their feet using the shoulder spring, wearing full armour. However, at Agincourt, they were in deep mud, and they were also impeded by the horses. So they were at a disadvantage. And anyway, the day was won. It was a remarkable victory. So Shakespeare wrote the play, Henry V, I studied it at school. It's the one Shakespeare play that we covered in detail, and I could at one stage recite quite large chunks of it, and it was uh, a really inspirational piece of work. It's been filmed a couple of times, most recently by Kenneth Branagh. Um, in my opinion, it suffers in comparison because in order to make it different from the original film adaptation, Kenneth Branagh changed some of the cadences and the rhythms of the speech. And I think it suffered as a result of that. Although as a piece of cinema, it was pretty good. The earlier version, 1944 version, was filmed obviously during World War II, and it was a very patriotic film. A lot of it was filmed in Ireland, and it was starring Laurence Olivier as the king. And it was in Technicolor, and it's a brilliant film. I remember seeing it. I can't remember exactly when I must have seen it, but I can remember it very clearly, seeing it at some stage when I was very young. So, maybe they showed bits of it on the TV, I'm not sure. But it was very well filmed, particularly the charge, the cavalry charge, the fully caparisoned knights charging, the banners aloft and so on, and then the arrow storm. Very, very well done. But obviously, anyone familiar with the play will know about the famous Crispin Day speech delivered by the king. It's absolutely remarkable, and Sir Laurence Olivier nails it, as you might expect. Now, one of the things about it is that on a course in the United States, an instructor was presenting a course on combat mindset, and he actually showed the Crispin Day speech and referenced it to modern mindset. And one of the lines in it is, these deeds will be remembered from this day until the ending of time. And the instructor said, and here we are sitting here now, hundreds of years later, talking about it. It was true. And the really good things, I mean, there's lines in it that Shakespeare came up with. All things are ready if our minds be so. Fantastic mindset stuff. So for me, it's an epic film in the true sense of the word, and it's particularly poignant for me because in the Crispin Day scene, my dad is in that scene. He's one of the extras. He was at sea, and he used to, when he was back home, he used to get work as an extra, and he was in that scene. One funny story, he went along for a part, and it was a part as a seaman, and they told him he had the part, but he had to go along to costume to get his seaman's costume, and he said, I'm a seaman, this is what I wear. He said, oh no, you've got to get a costume. I don't know if they wanted to put a parrot on his shoulder or whatever. So that's one of the reasons why the Olivier version is so special for me. Terrific film, very well filmed, of a tremendous play, obviously a masterpiece of English literature, and I think most of the film is available on YouTube, so look it up.